Throughout his presidential campaign and even after being elected, Donald Trump has used Christmas in order to galvanize support from one particular group. Trump claims that he's taken back the Christian holiday and has made it possible for people to say Merry Christmas again, and has also stated that too much political correctness in the U.S. has prevented Christians, particularly evangelicals, from expressing their religious beliefs. But does Trump truly represent the evangelical Christian in America? And how much of a role does faith play in politics? Hello and welcome to DC Direct. I'm Lionel Donovan. Here we break down some of the big issues in the U.S. political landscape, but we want you to weigh in. So feel free to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at TRT World. And reach out to us with the hashtag DC Direct and be a part of the conversation. In today's show, we'll be talking about Trump's relationship with evangelicals and faith-based politics. The past few months have been pretty hard on Trump. Between the Mueller investigation, his handling of Saudi Arabia's crown prince, and losing the House to the Democrats, the U.S. president's popularity has taken some hits, and that's seen in his fluctuating approval numbers. But one group has consistently stayed by Trump's side throughout all of it: evangelical Christians. Evangelical Christians, specifically white evangelical Christians, have been some of Trump's strongest supporters. In 2016, Trump drew in 81% of the group during his presidential run, and that number has remained consistently high in the years since the election, currently at around 75%. According to the National Association of Evangelicals, evangelical Christians are defined as those who believe conversionism, or being born again through following Jesus Christ, holding the Bible as the ultimate authority in all things, believing in the sacrifice of Jesus Christ as the path to the redemption of humanity, and this one is key, activism through spreading the gospel. So how do these religious principles apply to political positions? We sat down with Dr. Harold Dean Trulear, who teaches applied theology at Howard University, and he gave us some insight into how faith informs politics.
Most people are self-interested, and it reflects in their religion and in their politics. And so what tends to happen is where somebody sees their own interest lines up with their religious faith and lines up with their politics, they try to blend them. People will say things like, I believe in the separation of religion and politics, I believe in the separation of church and state, but our behavior says something very different.
How should churches and faith leaders respond when they see politicians basically co-opting their messages and creating this image in order to appeal to their base, like, for example, with Trump and evangelical Christians?
Well, it's a perfect example of Christians, evangelicals in this case, squeezing their theology, right? Being very selective about what theological truths they were going to hold on to in order to support somebody who, in a variety of ways, offends their theological sensibilities. There is no one candidate that's going to fully embrace anyone's theological faith position or religious faith position. So what a candidate can do is they can grab something from that faith tradition with which people can resonate and create the illusion that they represent the whole of their tradition. The role of faith is to always appeal to the higher ground and not find itself limited by partisan politics or the politics of compromise.
So now that we have a better understanding of the relationship between faith and politics, how will the new generation of church leaders navigate that relationship going forward? Joel Pazmino is an evangelical pastor based here in D.C. As an evangelical, Pazmino makes it a priority to make sure that his message is as inclusive as possible because he knows his congregation is very diverse.
With evangelicalism never really became a denomination of sorts. You're not an evangelical as opposed to being a Catholic or as opposed to being a Presbyterian. As a matter of fact, certain branches of the Presbyterian denomination we cannot see as evangelical. So there's certain branches of the Methodist denomination are kind of seen as evangelical. It's kind of like a very nebulous umbrella that encompasses a chunk of the Protestant movement.
Although Pazmino is very passionate about delivering his message, he's also very aware of the problems in regards to those who claim to share his
They
beliefs.
basically have buildings. I think there's people that have left the church because of it. I think that there's a group of people. I think the New York Times ran an article a few months ago how basically minorities are kind of like doing an exodus of the evangelical church precisely because of phenomena like this. I actually think that Jesus is incredibly political. I just don't think that Jesus is partisan, if that makes any sense. So politics are about people, and God cares about people. Part of the problem right now that a lot of minorities are experiencing is kind of like evangelicals that want to divorce the social elements of the message of Jesus from the theological elements, and they're using that as a cop-out for not engaging the suffering and the pain that people are experiencing, kind of like turn a blind eye to it, right? So we don't want to do that.
Faith plays a vital role in many people's lives and serves as a base for what they believe in. Many politicians are aware of this and will try to mirror the beliefs of who they're talking to in order to gain their support. But what happens when what a politician says doesn't match with what they do? And how should church leaders respond when they see their faith being co-opted? These are questions that church leaders will have to answer in this new political climate. Well, that's all the time we have for today in DC Direct, but please be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at TRT World, and reach out to us with the hashtag DC Direct and let us know what you think about faith-based politics and how much of a role religion should play in the political landscape. Until next time, I'm Lionel Donovan.